hope you're having a great day here at the Kooky Kitchen. We're having a great day. And we're going to do a recipe from this slow cooker recipe collection. So in my Pantry Party series, I did an experiment where I made sure I built my meals around what I actually had on hand. And I learned several things. I also know that's not the way I normally am. So, can I actually nail down some of those processes just to make my life easier? I'm gonna see if I can without doing a lot of prep. I'm moving to the slow cooker. If you're wondering why slow cooker, because I'm thinking there's very little prep, you just dump it all in. As I was going through these recipes, I was like, well, not all of them, but I found a couple. So the first one is steam pork buns. That's the picture I was showing of you. Not a lot of ingredients, kind of interesting. I'm gonna use refrigerated biscuit dough. Let's see what else I can find. Here's another one, and I'm picking this because the picture there at the top looks like I have all those ingredients. The exception is I don't have green bell peppers. I have red, orange, and yellow. But other than that, it looks like I have everything. So it is time for us to go grocery shopping for things like, you know, the basics, milk and stuff like that. I'm not going to include that because that's stuff that I'm going to buy every month anyway. So what I will do is keep track of what I buy specifically to make a dish. So if I were to go ahead and buy the green bell peppers, which the last time I was at the store were absolutely ridiculously expensive, how much did I spend to actually make that meal? So I'm still looking for what's in my pantry, my freezer, my fridge, and then only buying what else I need to make this recipe as it's stated in the cookbook. I'm gonna try very hard to stick with the recipe and not change it. I don't think changing which type of bell pepper is going to change the flavor much, so I don't have a problem with that. I think I am gonna go back to that pork bun recipe that I showed at first, and I will plan on doing 2 meals. But this right here makes 6 to 8 servings, so I'm gonna assume we're probably gonna have it for a couple of nights. So that's okay. I wonder how it would freeze, if I could freeze it and pull it back out on Friday. Anyway, it's time for us to shop to see what I have here and what I don't have here. Let's go to the freezer first. All right, we're at the freezer, and I got this little magnetic, it's just a sheet. It's not a board, it's just a flat sheet. The pins are magnetic, the eraser is magnetic, and it's not specifically out there, you know, item per item, but I know on my 3rd shelf is where the beef's gonna be. So let's see. Oh, and the 4th is pork if I want to do those pork buns. All right, the recipe calls for 3 pounds top beef sirloin steak, I think is what it was. I don't have that. What I have is, and don't come for me in the comments, please, 2 New York steaks and a T-bone. Currently, I cannot chew beef. It has to be pretty thin or shredded. So these are probably more expensive than someone would use, you know, like the cut that the recipe called for. But these need to be used. This one is from my mom's house. I know that. So it definitely needs to be used. It's been in my freezer for a year and had been in hers for a couple of months. So it needs to get used. So that's what I'm gonna use. I'm gonna have to cut around the bone. That's okay. I'm gonna do that extra work, even though I'm way too lazy today to do any prep. It's gotta get done, it's gotta get used. So I know we have our meat for the pepper steak. Let's see if we have any pork, because the pork called for buying the pork already done, you know, the tubs of pork you can get, barbecued pork. And see, I'm watching YouTube. I'm thinking it would be less expensive for me to buy a bottle of barbecue sauce, because I am out, and cook the pork up myself instead of buying the tub already made. Whatever is most convenient and your budget can handle it. So let's go see if we've got any pork to use. All right, I found this pork. I think it's supposed to say pork rib. Well, I don't see any bones. I do have pork chops that I can cook up if this is actually ribs and I find some bones in here. Or I could just debone it. Either way, I'm sure it will work. All right, let's see what else we need and what we have. For our pepper steak, what I cannot find is soy sauce. I'm gonna ask my son to make sure I'm just not missing it, because I'm old. That looks really good. Let's take a look at the pork buns. Okay, I will need biscuits. I don't have that. And I don't have green onions, but it's optional. And then for the sauce, it also needs soy sauce. So I do need to make sure I have soy sauce. So other than that, I have all the ingredients. I think it's time I put my crock pots to use, or slow cookers to use. Let's get our meat sliced up for our pepper steak. Next up, we brown our steak strips. I am cooking in batches, trying to make sure the oil stays at an even temperature. I've made an oil splatter mess. This is our last batch, and then it's garlic, and then it all goes in the slow cooker, and we go from there. We have our beef steak strips, which aren't even. I didn't even do a very good job there. But I now am going to start adding the other ingredients, starting with soy sauce. All right, we have ginger, we have pepper, soy sauce. Oh, I got to chop an onion to put in here right now as well. So let me do that, and I'm going to put the lid on it, and we'll come back and visit in a little while. All right, let's give this a big mix and put the lid on. One thing I want to tell you before I forget is the recipe does call for salt. I did not add it because there was a half a cup of soy sauce, so I didn't want it to be too salty. We can always add it a little later. All right, remember this was supposed to cook for like 6 hours, but I used beef that was more tender. So this is already ready. If I let it go much longer, I'm just gonna have dried out beef. So let's add the bell peppers. All right, we've got our bell peppers in there. Remember, the recipe called for green bell peppers. I did not have any, so I used what I had, which was red and orange. I know they look kind of yellow on camera, but they're orange. All right, so we're gonna cook for 1 more hour. Then we're gonna do our cornstarch slurry and cook on high, I think 5 or 10 minutes, I forget what it said. But that's where we're at. All right, it's time for our cornstarch slurry. And Kyle's gonna mix it all up for me since I can't do it with just one hand. Okay, so now we cook it on high for
15 minutes.
15 minutes without the lid, right? Do I remember that correctly? So that's what we're gonna do. That looks awesome. Kyle made some rice for us to put on top. So let's see if we can do this. All right. Do you want to taste test first, sweetheart?
That is tasty.
Well, I guess it won't cut. And that sauce mixes with the rice. It's just perfect. Oh, you know what we did? Let's grab the cookbook. We need to see if this looks like the cookbook. Okay, here's the cookbook picture. And here's mine. Yay! So, 1 out of 5 stars, Kyle. What would... So we would both give this a 5. We'll definitely be doing it again. It was quick and easy. If you had the other roast, remember, it's going to cook a lot longer. So ours was done in 2 to 3 hours. The only thing I changed was I did not use green bell peppers, and I did not add the salt because of the soy sauce. So if you use a tougher piece of meat, it's going to have to cook longer. But this turned out really good, and I don't know if we'll have leftovers. Anyway, I am not sure I said this at the beginning. If not, welcome to the Kooky Kitchen. This is a Cookbook Curiosities, and I had decided while I was sitting out in the garage to do a slow cooker recipe. Still hot here. I didn't want a whole lot of mess. So basically we have the crock pot, we have the pan we did the rice in, and then we're each going to have a plate and a fork. That's it for the cleanup. Granted, I did have to slice the meat. That was my choice. So if you can find sliced beef at the grocery store and it fits your budget, that's up to you. I used what I had on hand. So get out those dusty cookbooks and start going through them. You never know what you're going to find. Oh, the date's probably on the inside. Anyway, thanks for hanging out with us and watching our Cookbook Curiosities on pepper steak. It turned out really well, and we're going to eat dinner now, and we'll see you next time. Stay kooky, my kitchen friends.